All right. We obviously we had a shortened weekend. Still got to play 2 games. Felt pretty good. We had one bad inning that things kind of just fell apart. We can blame all kinds of things. We're not going to. We all had to play in the same cold and pitch and play catch in that. We just didn't perform well in one of those innings. Other than that, I thought we had a great weekend. We've had as good a week of practice up to this point as we could have, being inside, playing catch inside, obviously with the weather. Our schedule for the weekend has completely changed again. We are heading to Houston to play at the Scrapyard, which is a softball complex where the Pro League plays and the national team has trained at. So we'll go down there, play 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, head to Lamar to play a doubleheader on Monday, head to McNeese on Tuesday to play a single night game, and then head straight to Baton Rouge, have 2 days off there. One day we'll practice, one day we'll take off, and then play LSU and ULL in Buffalo the following weekend. So busy weekend starting tomorrow as we head out, and we'll just kind of see where it takes us. But we should be in great shape.
Coach, I just had a couple quick ones for you. I remember, first off, last time when we were talking, you mentioned that even that the band was back, so to speak, that y'all weren't necessarily picking up where you left off, but you said the road trip would help with that. So did you see your team grow at all during these first couple games of the season?
Yeah, I did. I was very, very pleased with where the team is moving towards. See a lot of this is when you see some relationships change, some people that you never knew were close, that you kind of see that because you're around them a lot. The chatter on the bus is good. You as front and the player and you get laughing and talking. I think that's all you want. You just want a team that genuinely enjoys being around each other, and the bus forces that. There's no other way to force that. You're just around each other, and so I thought they did a really nice job. I thought that they were very in tune during our games. The energy in the dugout was like it's always been. That's kind of the expectation here as well. I feel really good. We haven't really been around each other. Yesterday, we watched film as a group and kind of talked for about a half an hour. But other than that, we haven't really been with each other unless they have on their own. And I think they've been hanging out a bunch with school being the way it is. So feel good about them and like where we're headed.
Gotcha. And do you think the bus, obviously it's a little different player and player and then coach and coach, but do you find yourself maybe growing a little closer with the coaches too on the, or is that kind of a different dynamic?
No, I think that's a good point, actually. I feel like that always does really help things. I mean, we try to hang out in the hotel rooms, and we watched a lot of softball games as a staff, and just kind of hung out and talked about what we saw in the first games. And so I think it does. We enjoy being around each other, and just things that come to your mind when you're, like I said, you're forced to being around each other, and the conversations are really good. So I like the way our program sits at this moment. This will be a real good test, 10 days on the road. Sure, by the end of that, we'll be ready to be away for a day or two. But we'll enjoy it, and we'll make it fun and make it enjoyable for
And I
sure.
have one other question for you, but before I switch topics, I'll ask you: has a candidate emerged for maybe the funniest player on the bus or funniest coach on the bus so far this season?
Oh, wow. Well, Raquel is usually one of the funniest people around. I haven't. That's probably a good question for next week. Raquel kind of holds that um, uh, status from probably in the years past. She does some funny things and says some funny things, but maybe somebody new emerged. Scotland is a freshman. She's kind of a goofy kid, and but I don't know. Kelly's on this call, so maybe when her turn, you can ask her. It's definitely not her. She's quiet, but she's not quiet when she throws the ball. That's for dang
Gotcha.
sure.
And my last question for you is, with all the kind of cancellations going around in this stage of the season, where you don't sometimes know where you're playing next or who you're playing next, uh, did this prepare you at all for the College World Series, or is that kind of a stretch?
Yeah, I don't know that it really prepares you on that because in the College World Series, the week beat before it's down to 16 teams, and then it's going to go to a final eight. So this is this is this has been the craziest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life for sports. I mean, we've sat yesterday at 8:30. I got a phone call that we're canceled, and from that point on, um, we had practice. We're here. We kind of took the lead of all those teams, tried to keep everybody together. We did that. We got the thing moved to Houston. And then all these things start to pop up. Now we got to talk about COVID testing. Now we got to talk about umpires. Now we got to talk about who's keeping score. All these things that are going on that I really don't want to do. To be very honest, our staff wants to coach and do that. But if nobody took that bull by the horns, I'm not sure where we would be. So I'm happy with what our staff did. They worked their asses off. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Worked that's off, and got ourselves ready. We're going to be able to play our games. We're going to get 4 games in just like we were. And that's the bottom line. Is just give these kids the opportunity to go play. They need to play. They're tired of practice. They've been doing it for, 11 months. It's been unlike anything that any of us have gone through. And so I just felt like it was in our best interest to do our part to make it happen. So your question, I don't think that matters at this point. I kind of got off on that, but I'm yeah.
It's great. When you get that call that, hey, we have a game that's canceled, who do you call? What's your kind of immediate protocol after that?
Well, I just reached out to all those teams and just said, hey, do you guys still want to try to play if we could move it south? We had already kind of had some previous conversations because we had looked at the weather. So we started out. One coach said, "Hey, I think we could move it to Corpus Christi." Well, I was like, I don't know that I want to drive that far. Is there a more central spot? And so I have a contact at the scrapyard that while all this was going, I just texted her and said, would you even entertain having a college, some college games at your place? And she basically said, yeah. And so they're doing us a huge favor. And we're gonna go down there and play. And so you just start to scramble. You go into fight mode, and trying to keep everybody happy is not easy. Jeff does our schedule. He does almost all of our schedule, and I'm trying to help him the best I can to try to ship in. They're both her and Jeff are trying to figure out which teams can play, which teams are in the same conference and can't play. We added Wichita State, but we really don't want to play them because we're already playing them 3 times. North Texas is in it. They're playing Wichita State already 3 times, so they don't want to play. So there's a lot of dynamics that you've got to get fixed up. Everybody basically said, we'll do what we've got to do to play. And so I commend all these coaches for saying, even if we've got to play Wichita State, I told Mike White at Texas, hey, Mike, we'll play you if we have to, even though we're already playing our 3 games. And he said the same thing. He goes, if we need to play, then we'll play. Obviously, we'd rather not play because we're already going to play, but we were all willing to do what it took to play games.
Gotcha. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, earlier you mentioned, trying to practice indoors a little bit. What does that kind of look like with you guys? Are you going over to Sherman Smith? Kind of what does that look like?
No, we can't go over there. That place is ought to be named. I don't know. They need to name it the Sherman Smith, and then the next line ought to say the Yeti, because it's actually colder inside than it is outside. There's no heat. So for some reason, if it's 20 outside, it'll be between 16 and 17 inside. It's always colder inside. I mean, I think we're missing a great marketing opportunity here. So, and that's the honest truth. It's just impossible. You would freeze off in there. Your fingers would break off in there right now. So we've just been using our softball indoor. We've had some pitchers throwing live BP, hitters getting as much work. Those days. And then we're going to try to get to Houston as early as we can tomorrow and uh, try to get some practice in there.
And then it might be a little awkward with Kelly on the call, but did you know what you had in her? Obviously a pretty good
Yeah, I
weekend from
mean,
her.
Kelly's legit. I mean, we saw it last year, and I mean, I was super impressed with how she handled the Arkansas game. She came in a really bad spot, got us out of that, and then had a really good inning the next one. And then the next day in the cold, didn't even look like it bothered her. And you know, from a kid who's from the Houston area to have to fight through the cold like that's not like she's used to that. So we learned a lot from the first day how to keep some balls warm and keep their hands warm and some things. She just battled through it. But Kelly's really grown here. I'm super proud of her, not only as a pitcher, but the way she handles kind of life as a student athlete. She's able to manage, you know, a really difficult major. She's got a pretty serious relationship with a gentleman who plays baseball at South Carolina. So she's able to manage life. It's kind of what I love about our kids. They're just able to manage things. So it's cool to see her. She's been a little frustrated going into the spring. Everything wasn't quite synced up for her in her mind, but I really felt like they just needed to face other hitters. And she can maybe explain that or tell you if that's the way that she felt too. But you know, when you're tired of practicing and you're tired of facing the same hitters and your hitters are as good as anybody in the country, it's not fun. And so I think just seeing some different colors and competing again with some real adrenaline is really what got her going again. And she's going to have a great year.
What does it kind of say? You mentioned the bad inning against the Arkansas game. What does it kind of say about the maturity of the team that they're able to overcome that and still walk away with a win?
Yeah, it's the evolution of our program. Kelly wasn't here in our first years, but we'd have lost that game by 5 or 6 runs being up. We'd have fallen apart. There's a process here, and you have to go through the process, and it's painful, but it's why we didn't panic. It's why the coaches didn't panic one bit. We may have been upset. I mean, there's a chance I could have kicked the bucket or something, but we knew we could come back, and we knew that we could, and our girls did. I didn't see a lot of panic on their faces, and so that's what I'm most proud about. Is even through some tough times, our girls just seemed very calm. Kelly walked in there very calm. Our hitters in the 7th walked up to the plate and very, very calmly just had great at bat. So it's the evolution of a program. It's why I think we're building this thing for the long haul. It's not just a hey, we're just gonna have a great year. No, we're gonna have a lot of great years.
Hey, Kenny, we didn't get to watch the game because it wasn't on TV, so it's a little bit kind of tough to tell to really know how everything truly went down. You've talked already a little bit about Kelly's maturity and keeping calm and all that. What did she do well, especially in that Arkansas game? You know, like why was she successful?
Well, the biggest issue that we had on the pitching side was just we walked 11 kids, which is very, very uncommon for one of our staffs. And then we hit 3. So when you give a team 14 free bases, we gave up 8 hits. We had 2 errors. You combine all this stuff, and the fact that we only gave up 9 runs or 10 runs is a miracle in itself against a good team. So I think, you know, Kelly came in and threw strikes. I mean, she had, you know, a little bit of I'm not sure, but maybe not. She just went out there and executed what John called. And so that's what Kelly does. She's very, you don't see a lot of emotion out of her. She's very calm, just kind of cool. And she just competed in the zone. I mean, what she did was she faced 5 hitters and she struck out 4 of them. You know, I mean, she gave up, I think she had a walk, but her 4 outs were Ks. And then the next day we had a run rule win in 5. She struck out 10. So she competed in the strike zone, and she has what we call swing and miss ability. Her pitches have some swing and miss. And when I knew the first day when they were swinging and missing, I was like, Kelly's back. We haven't seen as much of that in the fall until later. I saw that late in the fall in the last couple of weeks when we were getting ready to play. She may have given up some hits and some stuff, but our kids were starting to swing and miss. And I was going, okay, Kelly's back. That's when I can tell when I feel like she's going well. So she just was herself and didn't let anything affect her. And just really happy the way she performed.
What about your first look at Jordan Doggett in game competition?
Yeah, she's you know, I mean, we're still a little early, played 2 games, but I would say that she's more of a gamer type kid. You know, not everybody is like that. She doesn't, I just thought her heartbeat did not change. It was kind of the same way she practices. Thought she was very calm and cool, had some really good at bats, didn't give in. It was cold. And so she was impressive. I mean, when you really look at the weekend, Carrie pitched just okay. Logan pitched not very good for her. Sydney Pennington and Kylie were 1 for 15. I think we're going to be okay. You know, when you really go back and look at this, like 4 of our top kids didn't perform like we know that they will. And so it's a pretty cool thing to go beat a good Arkansas team and then to, you know, have a run rule win against La Tech. And I just wish we could have played more. We just need the games and all that. So it is really cool to watch Jordan. You know, I thought that Busby was a different kid from last year. I thought that Richburg, if she protects Allison like that, this team is capable of doing anything. Somebody's got to be able to protect that Allison. And Richburg has been swinging the bat as anybody around, as good as anybody on our team. And she carried it in. I think I had mentioned last week that if there was one person who was ready, it was her, and she showed that. So just a lot of good things that happened.
Thank you.
All right. Is that all for Coach? Perfect. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys. See you next week. Good luck, Kelly.
All right. We'll open it up to questions for Kelly, and I'll just let you guys start.
Hey, Kelly, Coach was kind of telling me that even, you know, the early season, like, you know, you'll have squabbles or, you know, things with the team might not always pick back up where they last left off, but he thought that the road trip would kind of help fix a lot of that. So I'll ask you, how do you think the team grew together during the road trip?
I think just being on the bus for that long, everyone just kind of gets tired of either homework or sleeping and stuff like that. So we kind of have to come together, and a lot of people talk, and we find out things about people that we don't know. So I think growing together in that aspect kind of helps, just being on the bus for so long.
Is that kind of how bus trips go? Like maybe the first few hours you'll do homework or listen to music or sleep, and then the last part of it's where you do more, you know, interaction, or, you know, is that kind of how it goes?
Oh yeah, everyone at the end is like just ready to get off the bus. Everyone just kind of wanting to talk or just opening up, stuff like that. And then it was kind of cool because I don't know if y'all know, but whenever you're new to the program, on the way to the first game, everyone has to dance. The new people have to dance. So they play inappropriate music probably, and you have to go up and down the aisle once, and you have to dance in front of everybody. So that kind of just gets everyone laughing and gives the new kids a chance to just open up, be themselves.
Who do you think was the best dancer?
That's tough. There were some good ones. Megan had to dance. Megan's was good. I'd say I don't even really remember. Probably like Scotty. I'd say Scotland David. She loves to have fun, so she was pretty good.
Do you remember your first time doing that? What was that like?
Oh yeah, we were in Houston, and I was nervous. I was probably more nervous having to dance than having to play a game. So.
Now, I'll switch topics a little bit. How did you get the news that the upcoming game was, or the upcoming kind of slate of games was going to be canceled?
So actually our team kind of found out first actually, and because we have some friends that are, or players that are from Dallas area, so they kind of knew that the tournament was going to be canceled. And so everyone just kind of said, we don't know like where we're going or whatever. And I was actually at testing that morning, and Coach G was there, and he was like, oh, Kelly's going to be happy. We're going to her hometown, Houston or whatever. So I immediately texted my parents right away and said we're coming. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, so that's awesome. That's like a little unplanned road trip that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Okay, and my last thing was I saw some pictures I think on Twitter. So I'm not sure if you were there. I'm guessing you were, but of the team practicing in the tennis center. Were you there? And if so, what was that like?
I was not there because I threw a bullpen that day, so we kind of already played catch that day. But I know a lot of the girls enjoyed it, being in there and being able to throw.
Gotcha. Were you throwing bullpen in the indoor facility?
Yes, right up top in our indoor that day. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I forgot to say hi and introduce myself, but I'm Sam. I'm with the O'Cauley, and I'll be covering the team all year long. So I'm sure this won't be the last time I talk, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kelly, just a quick thing for me. What was it like? What was kind of your mindset entering that Arkansas game?
Okay, so I actually didn't think I was going to go in because I know Logan was in relief that day. And so, normally when we have a staff like this, you don't really use 3 pitchers. And so I was kind of in the dugout. It was pretty cold. Wasn't really around the heater because I was letting the kids that were playing in the game use it. And so then when John told me to go warm up whenever Logan went in, I was like, oh, okay, I got to get going again. So I tried to get warm, but it was so cold. I was freezing. And I was out in the bullpen. It's actually funny because I didn't throw a single strike in the bullpen. I was so scared. I was like, I'm so cold. Like, don't put me in, coach. I don't know how this is going to go. And I guess the adrenaline got to me, and I was able to get the job done. So it was kind of funny how that turned out.
Was the plan always for you to start the Louisiana Tech game, or did that kind of come after you had the success against Arkansas?
Yeah, I think it kind of came afterwards. And then I know my time was coming too because the other ones had their innings. So I think I was up next to get innings in.
How, because it's kind of an older staff, you're kind of the young guy on it, or the young gal on it. What is kind of the mindset, just not breaking through, but like to get innings? How have you managed to kind of break into the lineup?
You just got to go out there and be yourself. I think I've learned a lot from Logan and Carrie and just how they handle situations and their maturity and level and stuff like that. And then being able to work with John every day just helps a lot. And so going out there and just being myself and focusing on what I know and what my mechanics allow me to do is really what I think makes me successful.
I appreciate it.
Do we have anything else for Kelly? All right. Thanks for being on today, Kelly. Thank you all for being on today, and we'll do this again next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.